What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a special guest. He's a top-level personal trainer, nutritionist, and he is the TV host for Univision. Please help me welcome Alex Carneiro. What is up, my brother?
Oh, thank you guys for having me. And like I said, thank you for not destroying my last name.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Definitely, and I got you,
no,
bro.
it's a pleasure.
No doubt about it. So how you been, man? How's everything going? I know in the personal training field, things shifted drastically for a lot of coaches, and you being, somebody of high level in your field in the fitness industry, how was that approach for you? How did you go about it? And how'd you change the way that you were going to go about your business with the whole COVID situation, and how have you adapted to a new way of coaching to be able to keep yourself elevating to the next level?
It's a great question. So, I always tell everyone you got two choices in life. You can decide to be a negative or a positive person. It's always a choice. And I'm not in a position to be thinking negatively in any aspect of my life. It's always forward. So it's not about encountering the problem. It's about encountering the solutions to that problem and finding different options to solve that issue. We had to close for the month. It was mandatory Colorado state rules. But I didn't freak out like a lot of trainers and try and immediately to become someone I'm not and take my whole business online. That's just not who I am. I've always been more in the hands-on type of person, communicating, explaining things. So instead of freaking out and decided to do all that, I just made my program here even better, knowing that people would want to come back and physically train at our facility. And unfortunately, a lot of big box gyms and a lot of studios did close, but that is a reflection, unfortunately, of your past actions. If you weren't prepared for something like this to happen, you're not really supposed to be a business owner. I mean, I understand that a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but I always plan for the worst with the most positive mindset possible. That way, if something does hit me that I'm not expecting, I have different solutions to that problem. And as soon as we reopened, the crowd in Colorado was ready to physically get back, to leave the house and actually start moving. It's great to work out outdoors, but it's obviously, sometimes not the same as having a facility where people can come in and, physically exert that energy with the weights.
I agree 100%, man. Especially the fact that you brought up, always preparing for the worst and always knowing that some kind of outcome can happen where, you might hit a huge barrier along the way, and you got to be ready for that. So the fact that you bringing that up is definitely very important for a lot of young entrepreneurs out there, especially as health and fitness coaches, being ready, being prepared, and always expecting for the possible worst. As we all know, nothing is guaranteed in life, and everything can just be taken like this in the snap of a finger. So
that was a good snap.
Woo! I know you loved it. Hopefully it comes out loud and proud on the podcast. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things where if you can mentally have that mindset preparation, and when these things happen to you, you're ready to tackle it on instead of letting it crumble you down. You know how to face it and overturn whatever issues that you might face, and just keep winning and moving forward.
When you open a business, because we've been in operation now for 4 years, I think the number one mistake most people do is start taking the money out of the business as soon as it's making an income. And I didn't even touch that for 2 years. That money just kept adding in the bank. And so when we did have to close, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to get that money from? I took the minimal amount to pay myself, and then the rest I still did other jobs to, survive. But I learned a lot from my clients. I mean, I have some amazing top 500 Fortune clients, some of the most wisest businessmen have walked through my door, and they've given me advice. So as a trainer, I'm not just trying to teach people how to have a better health, but I'm also absorbing any type of knowledge that these fine gentlemen or fine women come in here and teach me. And so when I started noticing their patterns, I started asking them about what are they doing in these times of, economic distress. And that was something I was already doing. So I felt pretty proud that even though I didn't really major in that aspect, I already kind of knew the basics of what I should be doing in order to preserve my business. And if not, and I don't like the word preserve. Preserve just means I'm barely making it. If I'm not killing it in my industry, then I'm not fulfilled with what I'm doing. So the first question everyone asks me is like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a personal trainer. And they ask me, how do you afford, your cars, your houses? I'm like, look, I'm a personal trainer, but I also do a lot of things in the spectrum of a trainer that most people don't do. TV appearances, write books, network. Like, well, it seems like you're an entrepreneur. I'm like, look, you can label anything you want, but we're all entrepreneurs if we're living for ourselves, you know. You just have to pre-plan ahead of the game and, you know, make sure, like you said, like if the zombie apocalypse happens, I already have my AK-47 ready to battle. I got my water.
Yeah, hey, we live in Florida. You know that we're strapped up. We're ready to go too.
That's right.
And the zombie apocalypse honestly might start down here. I mean, we've already had
Right?
some dude eat another dude's face off while he was. That was great, bro.
I,
That was right down
I'm
from my old
safe.
apartment.
You know, the study
you're
says that if the zombie apocalypse happens, the Rockies is the safest place.
Yeah, you might be good.
Look, dude, you guys don't get hurricanes. You guys
Nope.
don't get earthquakes.
No, just blizzards.
Just blizzards, pretty much. If the world starts going underwater, you guys will probably be at the top.
Yeah, you
chilling.
guys will be good. You'll be at
You'll get
have some
beaches.
beachfront. Yeah, you'll have some beachfront property if it gets real
That'd
bad.
be nice up here.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna have to think about moving out there then, because my aunt, my uncle and cousin live in Denver.
Yeah, plus we can transcend this existence, dude. Shrooms are legal.
Yeah,
that's right.
Now we can really fucking get to some higher ground.
That is a plus of Colorado. Well, not lie.
Yeah. No, but you know, I'm really glad that you brought up those couple points. You know, one, as a trainer, and I've mentioned this to everyone that's asked me for advice about how I've become successful in the field, is like, just like you mentioned, yeah, I'm training people, but you'd be, you know, I'd be lying right to your face if I told you that all we did was talk about training. You know, maybe 25 to 35% of the time we're talking about things that actually revolve around their training program. Other than that, I mean, I'm seeing these people, you know, 3 to 6 times a week. Like, I can't just talk about diet and exercise during this whole time. I'm constantly picking their brain, trying to figure out, just like you said, like so most of my clients are some of the most successful people in South Beach. It's like, well, how the fuck did you get there? You know, it's like,
let's be honest. People like to talk about themselves.
Right.
It's a very, you know,
that's right.
It's not everyone, but on a large majority of people like to talk about themselves. So if I'm here for an hour with multiple people a day, obviously I'm not going to talk about myself. That'd be the most selfish thing I can do for a client.
Right.
I want to have them have the experience of coming in and working with me. And an experience means that I'm listening to them, but I'm also asking the questions to guide them towards what I want to learn from them. Otherwise, I'm going to sit there and talk about, you know, what martini they had last night instead of, you know, what stocks should I be investing in? And we were actually literally, like, right before we jumped on the podcast, we were talking, should I invest in Microsoft or should I invest on TikTok with the possible acquisition of what's going to happen with that? Or should I invest at all if Trump doesn't really allow that acquisition?
Right.
So we're doing, you know, bicycle curls where we're talking about stocks.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity to sit down and talk to someone about something that you can gain from, and they're willing to teach you that, by all means, you know, I mean, what's the definition of death but not learning from anything else?
Yeah.
So
amen to that.
You know,
yeah, I always tell young trainers, you know, like, once you build a solid clientele base that you can, you know, hand pick and figure out the type of people that you really want to work with, essentially you have 10 to, you know, 25 highly motivated, highly skillful, highly educated mentors. And if you don't take advantage of that, then you're wasting all of that time that you're really training them, not developing your own self. Because, you know, my clients, at least, I think the like most recent client I have is 2 years, been training with me for 2 years now. So, you know, I've learned a substantial amount from these people. They're like family to me now. They want, as I'm sure your clients do, they want to see you succeed. Like, you know, they want to see you do things outside of the gym that are going to help take your life a lot forward. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, there's only so many hours in the day, so there's only so much money we can really make from specifically training people, right? And they know that, we know that. And if you're honest with them, like, listen, like, I do want to have a greater purpose in life, even though training is a great purpose, but I want to be able to have financial freedom so I can feel as excited as I do now about training. You know, 10 years from now, they'll jump on board and they'll do, you know, anything to help you out.
I tell people all the time that, you know, as a fitness professional, it's so amazing and rewarding, the fact that you can be around all these amazing high level individuals. probably more than other people are capable of being around. And to be around some of the high level professionals, you have to either pay to go to networking events, seminars,
I was gonna say that. Yep.
chambers of commerce. And guess what happens? They already know people want to hit them up and talk to them about
they'll blow
business.
you off.
So their guards are up.
Yeah.
Their walls and guards are up. When they come to you, guards are down. They already put their trust in you with their body, their mind, with all the things that they need to achieve. And it's like breaking the ice, because now they're comfortable with you, and it's just going to come out. Like you said, they're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to talk about what they're going through, what they're doing, their projects, this and that. And it's the best opportunity to just sit back and listen and absorb everything. And you're getting all this information without even having to pay to go to a seminar. And you're getting in the most personable level possible, and probably in the most rawest level possible.
Yeah, because during these seminars you see what they want you to hear, but when you're with me, you actually get to hear what they want to truly say, and so that's a whole valuable experience on a whole different level. And if you're paying for multiple seminars here, I get multiple people from different backgrounds, from different industries, who can give me a different perspective so that I can create my own path. And so, like you said before too, everyone wants to see me succeed. So they give me ideas. Hey, what if I do this? Or what if you do that? Or what if you talk to these people? And, that is the difference between someone who sees a job and someone who sees a career, because someone who sees a job just wants to, get their hourly pay, get in and get out. Once you're investing yourself in a career, you start investing in yourself first. And, once you do that, you can start learning from everything around you and who you want around you. I'm sure you guys have heard the expression, there's tons of them, but they all kind of come back to the same thing. Whoever you're surrounded with are the people who are going to elevate you or bring you down. Well, if I'm surrounded by a bunch of multimillionaires who, want me, my success, there's something I can learn from them. That already increases my worth. And so I always tell trainers who are beginning their journey, first define your meaning of success, because, we have this idea now, especially in social media, that successful people live in mansions and drive X cars and have X brands. And that's not true. But define your success, and then, define your target audience, because it was only when I defined my target audience and I had these people in my life that they all kind of magically started showing up in my life. And most trainers, when they're beginning their path, they just want clients. They just want as many as possible. And I've done that path, and it just ruined my mental health, because I would have people walk in here every day with all their type of life problems, just boom, just throw it at me. And I'm like, I should be charging triple the amount if I'm going to be listening to all this crap.
Yeah, and a therapist.
Yeah, we know how that is. Yeah. We both worked at Equinox. We worked at Equinox
too, so we got bombarded with
all
that, and especially at Equinox, when they're crunching. Hey, you got to hit those numbers. You got to hit the number. You're saying like, yeah, fuck, I got to take whatever I can now.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful. When you get to that level, you get to pick and choose now who you want to work with. And then you have that luxury of yourself of being able to just say, you know what, I want to work with these group of people. I want to do this. This is my avatar. This is my client that I speak out to, that speaks out to me. This is who I resonate the best with. This is who I can see myself hanging out with or talking to every single day. This is the person I want to work with.
Well, and there's something
I have 7 employees. So like if someone walks in and I'm not the best match, I can match them with who I think is even better.
Right.
So when you get to that point too, you're not taking a client that you're like, I'm not the best trainer for this guy, but I'll take it because, like you said, I got to meet a sales quota or I got to meet something. In my case, in my place, I can be like, oh, look, I got someone way better than me that's actually even cheaper. That's going to benefit you way more. So I'm actually helping the client more than just taking in as many clients as possible.
Right. And also bringing value to, kind of circling back to, a little selfishness, like back to your own business. Like you're actually bringing value by, referring out to someone else who might be better, because and I mentioned this to younger trainers too who come to me for mentorships, is like, like you were mentioning, might not be the best fit for you to train that person, but if you set them up with the right person, then all of their friends still might come to you because you did the right thing, you did the professional thing, the thing that you were supposed to do, and say, I'm definitely not going to be able to help you out the way that you think I'm going to be able to. So let me refer you to, Alex or Mendez, and they'll be able to take care of you better. And when they go to talk to their friends, like, I couldn't work with him, but, he was super nice, really professional. And now I'm with a trainer that I really love. And, I think that you'd be a really great fit. with Alex. So, why don't you go from it? And then it could end up being, a client that you train for 10 plus years, who's like a cash cow for you and does all those other things for you that we talked about, on the side, once they do really start to feel like their family, which is inevitable if you train someone for long enough.
And that's the thing, though. It's bringing back the word personal into personal training. Like, I personally have no issues with how the world is being run right now with a lot of online training. It's a phenomenal industry. I just feel like when someone walks in here, I want to be the most personal approach to their personal problems, not a cookie cutter program that fits, everyone. So my mission is here is to make sure that it is as personal as it gets for the client, so they have the best experience possible. A lot of people are going to say a lot of business, that's a lot of work, Alex. But you know what? At the end of the day, I can still go to bed and feel comfortable with that. I did everything possible for that client and, feel like my job is done. At the end of the day, that is my job, is to solve people with fitness solutions, not just try and, gather as many clients as possible, have a bunch of unhappy people, and then, just turn them over.
It's like you brought up earlier, if you're happy doing what you're doing, then that's what counts. And if you can feel fulfilled at the end of the day, then that's what you want to keep on doing and moving forward with that. I want to ask you, especially for all the people that know who you are, getting to know about your business, how you interact and work with some really high level people. How was Alex when he first started? And did you work for other people before you opened up your own spot, before you went independent, or did you go down the independent route straight off the bat?
So the story takes, lots of twists and turns. First of all, I came to the US at 18. My American dream was to, be in a cover of a few magazine covers. I wanted to follow the Arnold path, right? The bodybuilding competitions, all that, and which I did.
We see those AKs you got there. We see it. Thanks for embarrassing us. I'm gonna have to do like fucking 10,000 curls after this.
Don't forget the chest.
Yeah. He's like, weak chest over here.
Never said that, but
are you thinking
at 18,
it? No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, I never thought about it. My ambition was to be the cover model. That was my ambition, But I also knew that I only had 4 years of a student visa. That's how long they gave me for my education. My school was in kinesiology, so I started working on campus as the trainer because that was the only possible job that I could work on in the US, with the student visa. You have to work in campus. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to work in a cafeteria. That's not my thing. I might as well just invest in actually something that's useful for my profession, which is personal training at the rec center. I did that. And then we also had a half a semester, which was 500 hours of internship. So you actually chose which gym you would go and work with and work as an intern. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? All my friends are choosing the easiest path they could find. Let's work for a big box gym. I'll pick up towels. I'll clean floors. I'm like, that's not going to add any value to me. So I actually applied to the 3 hardest or more prestigious facilities 11 or 12 years ago here in Denver, and I got accepted to 2. And then I chose, wait, great. If I got 2, then at least I'm going to choose the most prestigious one. So they never actually had an intern, and they never worked with anyone who's 21 years old and had no experience in personal training. Now, the one thing I had to my advantage was I was already published in Men's Health as a contributor to the magazine. So I didn't waste time in college. As a foreigner, I was like, okay, I can choose going out partying and, do all that and sacrifice a whole day later with feeling hungover, or I can just, literally become the nerd and study all night, spend the time at the gym and learn as much as I can from this country before I potentially go back to Brazil. And I did not want to go back to Brazil because I knew that the US was the land of opportunity. So I got that internship, and they helped me keep an extension from my student visa to get a work visa at their facility. These people were absolutely amazing. Now, fresh off the bat, I was already making $42.50 already as a graduate from school. All my friends who had worked at 24-hour, no offense, it's a decent facility in my head, but those people who took the fast way out, they were unemployed. They were making maybe $12 an hour. They didn't know what they wanted to do with the degree. And so I already aimed as an young age, I'm going to do the hardest possible path possible so that I can build a reputation for myself. So I did work at a corporate facility for 2 years. It helped me build that people talking skills because I was in the epicenter of the richest people in Colorado. So I had to learn how to talk to people, how to present myself, body language. And then as soon as I became an IFBB pro of the category, the physique division, I was actually the third physique in the history and the first Latin to get that pro card.
Woo.
I said, okay, I'm going to take the next opportunity, right? I'm going to become a physique coach because there's no one else in this field in Colorado.
I was
Exploded,
about to
did really
ask you that.
well.
How many people in Colorado actually
Yeah.
because I was gonna say I don't hear too much of that. So that was definitely a big market for you. I mean, for yourself.
It was, yeah, actually.
Yeah,
you
that
know,
sounds
right
more
here,
like Miami.
my
Hey, there we go.
my 13 were given out that year.
Wow,
And you guys
amazing.
can see, I built a little bit of a path, my degrees, my covers, everything happened little by little. But the thing that kind of kept me going, that mindset was, I don't know how long I got in the US. I got to take advantage of as much shit as possible because I don't want to go back to South America and not have anything to show for it. But one thing led to the other, jobs, extension to visas, to the point where I was able to stay in the US, become a citizen, which I'm extremely proud of. And I always chose the path of the most resistance. I mean, that path does not bring the happiest memories. I'll tell you that for sure.
I can agree.
Yeah.
I went through a divorce because of that path. I mean, I was so focused on being the best version of myself and be so successful that I forgot that I was married, that I wasn't, I wasn't that, I was doing that. I was 21, 22, 23 years old. How am I supposed to even know what a husband means? But I lost a wife in that path. But I gained a lot
Been
of,
there.
discipline towards my career. Yeah.
Yeah, been there.
Don't regret it. I don't
Nope.
regret the divorce.
Nope.
He's like, wait.
Nope, not one bit.
But, life just takes all these paths, but you gotta be, I always told myself, I'd be literally at 10 p.m. sending sponsorship letters to all these companies asking for, supplements or stuff before the social media market boomed. And every time I'd get a no, to me, it just meant next opportunity. I got to keep sending more emails and more emails. And with sending those emails every night, I got an opportunity here, which led me to a greater opportunity here, which led me to a greater opportunity there. And, I built my name and reputation on, TV hosting, reality TV shows, magazine covers, to the point where I said, you know what, the only way I'm going to have my financial freedom is if I do open my own place. I have people working for me so that if I do go to Aspen during the weekend, I'm still making money, build a phenomenal team of trainers, which it can be hard. And, just be the best version of myself. That's what I seek from myself and from my clients. But it always does take the path of most resistance, which just sucks. But it develops the character of the person that you need to be in order to keep going farther and farther.
Right. I think
Definitely.
that the adversity that you face by taking that path, right, by facing the barriers that are really stopping you from making the progress that you need to make in your own life, right? So then you can do all these amazing things that you've been able to do, right? And then translate that into having your own team and having to be responsible in part for the livelihood of other people and their progress, right? Like you, at least in my own personal opinion, like I've leaned on those hardships. I've leaned on those bad experiences that I've had in order to be able to teach people how to not go about things more than necessarily go about things, right? I always want to give them the freedom to make their own path, but there's definitely things that I've done in my own, short 10-year career of training where I can say like, well, you definitely shouldn't tell someone to go fuck themselves in the middle of a session. That's not going to, that's not how it's going to work, and stuff like that. And like you mentioned, it does build character, but more importantly, it makes you realize like how minuscule a lot of the issues that we think arise in our life, all the quote unquote problems that we have are really nothing but, creations of our own thinking, of our own thought process of, you mentioned earlier, oh, well, you're an entrepreneur. It's like, well, you can box me in however you think you want to. I'm not going to do that because then that limits the possibilities that I'm creating for my own self.
It's the labels these days that are killing me.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to box
everything
you in.
has to have a label.
Yeah.
Everything. Oh, so if you lift weights, you're a bodybuilder. If you do MMA, you're a kickboxer, UFC. It's funny. Everyone needs a mold to fit their own perspective into something. It doesn't make sense to most people that you could be honestly nothing and be extremely successful. You know, one of my clients, I've asked him 15,000 times what the hell he does, and I still don't understand what he does in pharmaceuticals. I just know he's successful. And he told me, like, why do you need to know exactly what I do? And I said, I don't know. I think it's just a bad habit of having to exactly understand what you do to understand how you make your money. And he goes, doesn't matter really, you know, like why do you have to put a label on everything? Yeah.
That's
so
true. So true.
The funniest story I have is, you know, I'm blessed that I've worked hard enough to drive the car I have, the house. I present myself in decent clothes. And when I go out and I meet a bunch of new people, and you know, they ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a personal trainer. And they're like, how the hell does a personal trainer afford these things? And I'm like, look, you could be a plumber for all you say and have a $1 million business. It's the label. Oh, if you're a trainer, you're supposed to be poor. If you're a lawyer, you're supposed to be rich. If you're a doctor, you're supposed to be even more rich. Well, I hate to break the bubble. I sometimes make more in a year than a doctor probably does.
Yep.
It's the passion for what you do and finding solutions to the problems instead of sitting there. I mean, like, and this is what most people do. Oh, I'm a personal trainer. I haven't made the money I'm supposed to be making at this age. Hence, we have the problem of expectation doesn't meet reality. And they're like, how did you do it? I'm like, look, you're doing everything I've been doing. But the thing is, I already had an end mission at the end of my head. I wanted to make this much money. I have this definition of success means to me, and I won't break my own life rules. I've created a set of life rules that I will not break because it will not mess up my mental health. I will not sacrifice that for anything in this life. And when they start listening to that, like, oh, okay, you know, what's the first suggestion? I'm like, leave whatever corporation you're working and start learning how to market, to do sales, Facebook funnels, Instagram funnels, using, you know, learn everything. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. What do you want?
No shit. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
What do you want? Like,
that's the thing.
You know, open a gym and you got 15,000 clients walk in and you're rich overnight. That shit doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
people want
social media does.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
People just want that golden platter to fall on their lap. And you know, going back to some of the things you were saying about, you know, the labels and all that stuff, you know, a lot of times people paint this narrative of that stereotypical person, whatever they're labeled for, and that's what they think, you know, like you said, personal trainer. Well, you know, personal trainers only typically make this much money, or they only do this. Well, that's a narrative you're putting in your head. Well, that's the money you're going to attract in your life, you know. So if you can switch that way of thinking, and, you know, obviously you're an example of it, approaching it in a different way, and it's not about you being a personal trainer. It's about, what do you want out of what you're doing, and what do you want to be able to get out of life? It doesn't matter what you're doing as far as your profession or how you're going about it. It's the actual work behind it, how you approach it, how you deliver it, and how you make it happen for yourself. You know, it doesn't matter what profession you do. And that's what I tell people all the time as well. It's, you got to also stop painting these narratives in your head of what people stereotype, whatever it is that they're labeling.
Well, it's crazy too, like how dialed in the boxes that they get. Like, I'll go to dinner with some people, and, you know, obviously dessert, like the dessert menu comes out, and I'm like, oh, I'll have like the vanilla ice cream and chocolate cake. They're like, you're really going to eat that? It's like, did you just hear me order it? Like, I'm going to eat all of it. Oh, really?
Push like, look at my Instagram stories then, because all my Instagram stories are fancy alcohol drinks and dessert.
Yeah.
That's what I put in a lot of my Instagram stories. And then always, just like you said, people are like, how do you stay in shape and drink this and eat that? And I'm like, look, first of all, I'm standing up for 9 hours a day. Second of all, I sometimes work out 3 times a day with kickboxing, everything else I do. Like, don't compare my life with yours either. Like, that just because I can drink doesn't mean you should drink. But it's what I call the Google curse too. If you type in personal trainer income, there's your bracket, $35,000 to maybe $42,000. So right there, the mindset's already, oh crap, $42,000 is as much as I could probably potentially make. Let me look for something else, or let me pull up a book that says who makes the most amount of money. Which in these days it's all digital, like, you know, software engineer, this engineer, you know, this, that. So people start lacking, you know, creativity now, how they can take a profession, make it better, and enjoy themselves, instead of seeing, okay, I really want to help people, I want to be a personal trainer, but really $42,000, that doesn't sound like I could be happy with that. Right now, you're associating happiness with financial success. And then you put those together, and it's again, the Google curse. It's a recipe for disaster.
I really love how you brought that Google curse up, because it's so true. When people look things on Google, they take everything literally. And it's just like, yeah, it can really fuck with your mindset. When, you know, it's like you said, if you're truly happy and passionate about something that you do, and you do it at your best capacity, God knows where that can take you. Just because you're a trainer making this much doesn't mean I'm going to be a trainer making this much, or I'm going to go about training this way because that's how everybody views training.
Well,
it's bullshit.
Well, how would what advice would you give to someone who, might be aware now that they're stuck in this like siloed approach of thinking, right? Where they're putting all of these constructs on themselves. What advice would you give to them to break free of that, so that they can start to see the endless opportunities that they have to succeed, whether it be financially or socially or however they, feel they need to fill those pockets in their life?
Well, the first step is define what it is you really want. So if you are looking for happiness, which I think everyone is in a way or another, don't tie it to materialistic things. Don't tie it to things that you're out of your control. So define your meaning of success. And I really mean that to like the exact decimal of what you think you should be making, right? So if you define success as I got to make 6 figures, write it down, write the exact 6 figures you want to make. Don't just tell me I want to make more money. Because, who is it? I think Tony Robbins always says that, to be rich, here's $1. You're $1 richer. So you don't, you're not really defining your success here. So I always say define exactly what you want to make in your life. That's financial success, if that's what you define yourself with. If you define yourself with, I don't know, I want this house or I want this car. Okay, well, how much money you have to make in order to buy that house and buy that car, and how's that going to transfer to the amount of hours you have to work and how much you have to charge? So it's getting down to the nitty gritty. Everyone has a vision. No one knows how to get that vision done. If you can calculate how to get there, it is much more realistic than just projecting something that you don't even know how to get there. You want to be a successful personal trainer? Define what successful first means. Does that mean a lot of clients? Because here's the thing too, you can have a shit ton of clients but not make enough. That's just bad time management.
Yeah, I know plenty of people charging $25 a session.
And they're proud. They're like, oh my God, I got 50 clients. I'm like, well, your 50 are equivalent to 6 of mine. I'm working 6 hours a day.
All the time.
I got more time in my hands.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened after COVID. Pre-COVID, I was here from 8 to 8, Monday through Thursday. And on Fridays, I would barely have a living. By the end of the week, I was spiritually, physically, and emotionally drained out of my life. So COVID was actually a really good thing for me, because what I did is like, okay, I am unhappy in what I created. This needs to change right now. So I told myself, rule number 1, I work from 8 to 2. And when I started telling that to clients, they were pissed. They're like, well, I've been working with you for 4 months now. I can't make it to 8 to 2. I said, look, I got 2 options. People don't like the option that fits in their life, but option number 1 is I'm going to give you your money back, whatever you have, any sessions you might left. Here's your full refund. Option 2, you can work with one of my top trainers at the desired time that you want. You're still going to be, taken care of. 90% of them got pissed and left, right? I felt bad, but then I thought to myself, why am I the one feeling bad about wanting to take care of myself and these people can't understand that? Because most human creatures are selfish. They care about themselves, not another person. And these are people that I took care of in a personal level. Oh, you're moving? Let me help you out. Hey, you need something? But that's the thing crazy about this industry. You have to desynthesize yourself, because after all, so it is a customer service. There's always going to be someone complaining about something, even if you're giving yourself your 100%. So I got so tired of being yelled at for doing what I do best that I said 8 to 2. This is how many clients I'm going to work with. This is the time slot. After 2, it's Alex time. And again, I was just shocked about how people got mad at me because I wanted to take care of myself, and they were so unhappy in their life that they couldn't understand that I was doing this for myself. So that was my first rule. I don't come here before 8 because I got to meditate, stretch, run, take my dogs out, and have a peaceful breakfast. And after 2, I got kickboxing, or I work out, or I'm reading, because at the end of the day, I am still the most important person in my universe. As selfish as some people might even think about that, but that's why I'm also successful, because I don't waste time between 8 to 2. It's my clients. I'm not on social media. I'm not texting anyone. I'm being as productive as I can. So I've defined work smarter, not harder. That was something that it took 4 years of this business being open to realize that if I don't take care of my mental health, nothing else matters.
I love that you brought that up, because I think the fact that, especially in our position as coaches and a lot of other coaches that we've spoken to on our podcast that we're connected with have seen a lot of different opportunities come out of COVID, or realizations, just like yourself. And I think it's truly amazing what you said. Yeah. At the end of the day, as however people want to look at it, you being selfish or not, you have to be positively selfish for yourself to be able to be more selfless for others, and be able to give your best version of yourself for others. And if you can't do that, then you're not living an optimal life for you and for all the people that you care about and love.
Well, it's like what Jocko Wilkins says, right? It's like discipline equals freedom. The more disciplined you can be with your schedule, the more freedom you actually have, even though it sounds counterproductive. It sounds like you're being very restrictive when really all you're saying is like you were mentioning it. Yeah. What you were mentioning, Alex, like from 8 to 2, I'm disciplined enough to say like, I'm going to book my schedule full on that. And then once 2:00 hits, that's it,
Yeah.
And a lot of people end up, at least with my clients, we had the same thing happen with the podcast where I was like, okay, Tuesday, Thursdays, I'm not training anyone because I have to get ready for recordings and do my research. And then I have to go, do all the recordings. And at first my clients, same thing. We're pushing back. Well, I'm so used to training with you at these times. Like, well, those times no longer exist in my life. You either have to accept that and you need to adapt or I'm going to have to stop working with you because I have other things that I need to do to make my own life better, to make myself happier, to give myself a little bit more fulfillment than just standing here, talking to you every day.
But as a coach, you understand too that, it's hard to give the same amount of positive energy and umph from the first client to the last client. So if you are working,
brutal. It's brutal.
8
I feel
a.m.
bad for
to
my 6 p.m. clients. I feel bad for those.
Your
I'm like a
6 p.m.
zombie.
You're like, okay, dude, let's just do this. I didn't want to be that. I wanted to provide the same amount of energy from the first to the sixth client of the day. And so that was also another thing. This is optimizing the quality of my work. But to compensate, obviously, for the amount of work that I wasn't working in the afternoon, I just raised my rates. So again, you can't just, take away hours of work and not do something on the other side to compensate. It's a give and take too.
For sure.
And the clients that I was working with, that I told them, look, there's going to be a price spike. Again, because I chose the clientele that I want to work with. They're like, I don't care.
Right.
Because they love you.
So they enjoy working here with me, and the additional $15 an hour really wasn't a big deal for them. And that made me happy because made me understood these people are here really to, they appreciate my style of training. They appreciate what I've done for them. And the people who didn't understand that, you always have a feeling who has your back and who hasn't. But I always had everyone's back, whether I still felt like they wouldn't have mine. And that's one of the hardest things in life is you put out so much good to other people, but when you expect maybe a percentage of that back, that's not there. And that kind of, that's part of the path of building a business and being successful in whatever terms that may be is, you think someone and in reality you don't, because the moment you're not meeting their needs, then, unfortunately you're no longer the person you thought you were in their life. You're just a service.
Definitely. And something that's been something I was thinking about that I really wanted to ask you, because everything you're saying is truly spot on and amazing. And the attitude, the approach, the way you're handling your situation, the awareness of it, the things you've learned, everything you've overcome and the success you're having, knowing that you have a team, knowing that you have a group of trainers, knowing that, you have these employees, how do you approach this level of thinking that you have on your own life, your business? How do you bring this about to your coaches, to your trainers? And when they have their own personal goals and aspirations, how do you help them with that? How do you help them keep succeeding in other areas of their life? And how do you approach your coaches? How do you help them on all levels?
Just fucking flex on them.
Woo!
Actually, my gym is actually not a bodybuilding, CrossFit, or powerlifting gym. It's a, day-to-day, we're a private studio. People only come here with the trainers.
I've seen it.
Well, that's where the money is, right? Helping normal people.
Yeah. I actually, most of the time, cover myself. It's empty right now. So I was working out. I don't even want to, kind of give that meathead approach to anyone walking in here. So I usually cover myself pretty good. But going back to the question, the first question that I already ask anyone who's walking in here is, what are your goals? What do you really want out of this job? If you're just looking for another paycheck, then I'm not really, this isn't the place for you. We have a pretty good team. All the trainers, smile, talk to each other, hang out with each other off hours. And I explained to them that there's also a process to the hiring. It isn't just, let me meet you, let me talk to you, you're hired. We do a 3-phase interview. The first one is actually meeting them, see if they can talk, look at the resume, see what, you know, they really want out of this position. If they think it's just another big box gym that they walk in, you don't talk to me, that's not the right environment. You know, we want to be able to be a small family. The second step is obviously training me or training one of my employees to see how their, you know, their knowledge is. I like this morning, I did an interview for someone. I pretended to be dyslexic. I pretended to have scoliosis and pretended like I had a bad knee. Throw me a workout, you know? So that test is now their knowledge and training. And then the third one is they got to sit down and I will run a whole resume with them and say, look, the first week we're going to talk about social media. It's a big part of, you know, promoting my business and your business. Let's take a look at it. Let's see how I can help you. Let's see what we can do better. Second step is here's a list of books that I recommend. So you can start learning not only about how to become a better trainer, but to be a better salesperson in general when it comes to everything in life. So I'm constantly giving them continuing education credits so that they can learn. And if they want to take this knowledge and leave and apply it somewhere else, great, obviously, you know, but I'm not here to block someone's knowledge with whatever information I give them. I just want them to grow whatever way they can and be happy. In my facility, you know, I'm not breathing down my trainer's neck saying, hey, you have to meet these sales. In fact, I'm the one doing the sales. I'm the one doing the nutrition. I'm still doing the training. For everyone who walks in here, they have the AC driven method program. It's my system. I don't want anyone to touch it. All my trainers have to do is literally just train the client. They don't have to market. They don't have to sell. But that doesn't mean that I don't want them to learn that, because those are skills that I want them to apply for themselves in whatever business they might have afterwards. And then energy, man. You can obviously tell the energy of the person that walks in here if they're just looking for a job or versus how passionate they are in the way they talk. You know, you can tell right away if their person has, you know, really what it takes to work with people or they're just here for a quick buck. And most people who wanted a quick buck, all they do is just talk about their resume. And that's usually most people. This is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. So when you ask them, what do you want? Like, well, what is your vision in 6 months and 12 months and 3 months? If someone is lacking passion, all they're going to say usually is, I just want to train the most amount of clients. Yeah. Usually the person who comes in here with a little bit more passion, the answer is, I really want to help others achieve their best fitness goals and become a better version of themselves day and night. You know, those two answers are completely different. So someone wants to help, they're more likely going to be hired. If they only see numbers and potentially, like I had an interview last week and they're like, hey, how many clients are you going to give me the first week?
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, as many as we get, you know, and she had a phenomenal social media presence. It's just, you know, it has to be kind of the full package. It just can't be one thing that's good and everything else sucks. And again, as I mentioned, we have some pretty elite customers in here. So if you don't know how to talk and present yourself, unfortunately, that's a no-no. You know, I had a gentleman come in here and he used the F word, the S word, and the C word in every sentence. And I'm like, dude, like, we got to work on your talking skills because your resume looks phenomenal, but I'm pretty sure you're out of a job because you don't know how to talk to a customer. And body language is also huge. So, you know, you can't come at me like I'm about to start a UFC fight. And so it's everything, you know. And I think when people think about personal training, they think, oh, I'm going to sit there and count numbers. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's a big part of the job.
My clients will tell you, I'm the worst counter. They're like, are you counting? I'm like, you know, I'm not counting. I can't count and correct your form.
Got 2 more.
Yeah. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, well, I understand like the timing for 10 reps or 6 reps. Like, I just base it off of like, did it take you 45 seconds or a minute to do it?
So guys out there, all those clients and future clients, we don't count numbers.
Yeah, okay? No, I'm not counting. I'm definitely not counting.
2. I move my fingers, you know, to pretend like I'm counting. And I'm like, you got 2 more.
Yeah. I have a 2-part question for you. First part, one, I'm kind of a nerd, right? So I'm curious, what books do you recommend for all the new trainers to come in, or even the trainers that are pretty well established within your facility? And 2, kind of to compound off of that, right? There's something to be said about building out a system that, you know, or a standardized system, right, that you can use to be able to build and grow your business, right? So can you kind of touch upon how your experience was building out that system that you have at your gym, as well as how you continually try to expand and improve upon that system of standardizing, you know, what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to or what you're not willing to accept for the people that are going to be working for you in the gym?
So my number 1 favorite book right now, and it's been there for a while, is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Love David Goggins.
It just talks about that mental toughness. And I would rather someone understand mental toughness before they understand numbers, because
It's huge.
if mentally you're not giving up, it doesn't matter how hard a subject may be, keep going, keep going. At one point you'll understand it. So it can't hurt me was a pretty good one. The 10X rule, Grant Cardone, I always tell my clients, look, if you predict to have 2 clients, try to predict 6, because at least you're failing. I'd rather you fail at 4 and 3 than say 2 and fail at 1 or 0. So have higher expectations of yourself. So 10X was a really good book for the business component. For those that are seeking a little bit more the spiritual path, The Inner Yogi by Guru Sadhara, I can't say his last name, is a phenomenal book because it talks about the perception of life. And honestly, that what is life but a perception, it's how we see life. And so I tell people, if you're a little bit more into the spiritual side, go to Inner Yogi. If you're a little bit more into the capitalistic side, go to 10X. If you're a little bit more into mental toughness, go with David Goggins. There's always something to be learned from a book. It doesn't necessarily have to be business in order to learn business. It's like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I mean, there's 1,000 things you can learn from that book. And, you could recommend that book for someone who's an entrepreneur or wants to look at business or is an artist. There's different books for different needs. And I'll usually assess those needs when I'm talking to someone. If I see they need more help with money, then I'll recommend them towards the money books. But I feel like, again, we live in a current society that is also obsessed with self-growth, meaning they'll buy a book to solve one problem, and they find out they have 3 other problems now that they've discovered reading that one book, and now they have to buy a bunch of other books to solve those 3, instead of reading one book, analyzing, applying, solving that problem, and then moving on maybe potentially to the next book.
You know what I call that?
So I'll see.
Infobesity.
Infobesity, that's a good one. It's true though. There's so much knowledge that we're always we try and fix this much percentage, and then we have to find another problem to fix, and it never ends. So I was a book aficionado. Like, I'd buy a new book every week. I'd listen to podcasts. I'd hammer them. I'd listen to podcasts all the time, thinking that I'm going to learn something new. But it was so much knowledge that I didn't know what to apply. Instead of just listening to one good podcast like yours and listening, truly listening to what is being said, replaying that podcast to truly see if I really understood it, instead of being like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. 15 minutes later, you're reading People magazine and you already forgot what the hell, was even said to you,
Yep.
It's like, I call it the up syndrome, like squirrel, like everything is like different and new. And then the second part of the question is, look, my system was developed over 13 years of mistakes, meaning I had to develop a system in order to truly understand, why is it that you're not doing what you already know you should be doing? We know you should be drinking more water. You should be moving more. You should be smoking. You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you doing this? So what I really wanted to combine was a combination of human psyche with nutrition and training, so that I could try and change the biochemistry of the client without them knowing any of this. Of course, they don't need to understand how biochemistry works and how the physiology can change literally your entire life. So what I created was the ACE driven method lifestyle questionnaire. It's about 35 to 40 questions that really starts digging deep into the client. Simple questions like, hey, how many hours of sleep are you getting? How many hours are you driving? Because the more you drive, the more stressful potentially a client can be, the less movement, cortisol levels could go up. So I'm trying to understand everything they do in their life to kind of have an idea of what their biochemistry could look like, so I can create the best solution for their lifestyle. Now, what I see, I personally think, obviously this is my opinion, that I see that's wrong with the fitness industry, is that here's a cookie cutter nutrition, here's a cookie cutter training, have fun, $9.99, you're good to go. Most people follow that for a week or two, they're motivated, and somehow they find themselves, again, unmotivated. So during the first consult, I explained that lifestyle questionnaire, and I explained to people, look, if you're looking to be motivated, you're not going to find it in this place. I'm not going to teach you how to become motivated. I'm here to teach you about discipline, because I tell people, look, I literally live in a gym. Do you think I'm like literally like a switch turns on and then I drink pre-workout, I'm ready to have the best workout of my life? Hell no. I sit in this chair and spin for like 5 minutes and listen to something, and then I eventually kind of get that need to go work out.
And you're already in the gym. You're not even walking through the door.
Dude, I just have to walk out and it's right there. Yeah. So I explained that there's no magic solution, there's no magic program, there's magic pill. I'm not the best trainer in the world. It's all about choices. You know, your life is just a presentation of choices. One gets you closer to your goals, and one gets you farthest from your goals. It's your choice to make the best choice. Because back in the day, I would take it super personal if a client didn't succeed based on their choices outside of the hours of my studio, and it drove me crazy. Again,
Yeah,
my
you
mental
can't do
health
that.
went,
Yeah.
went down the drainer.
Mhm.
And so I put all the responsibility on them. They need to understand that on day one. We're here to keep them accountable, to give them
Big
the
time.
best resources and tools. You know, the lifestyle questionnaire is something I'm really proud of because, like I said, it digs really deep into who the person is. I even repeat the question. It's something I learned from my mother. She's a former physician. You know, when you donate blood, it's very interesting how they'll ask the same question in different wording to see if you get the same answer. So, for example, I donate blood pretty often, and they'll ask you, hey, have you left the country in the last whatever days? And then towards the end of the questionnaire, they'll say, hey, have you had a pleasure or business trip? Same shit, just different, you know,
Yeah.
wording to see if they're
Spin
really
off.
paying attention. So I asked that a few times in my questionnaire, like, why do you feel you're failing at eating healthier? Why do you feel you're not achieving these goals? And when they actually have to sit down and actually analyze it, it's a very uncomfortable thing. You know, they don't want to write, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, you know, they give me always the same excuse. I lack time. You know, I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. So it becomes a very victim mentality instead of just assuming the true word. I suck. I don't have the discipline. I don't have the motivation. It never comes down to being honest with themselves. And that's what I want in the lifestyle questionnaire, for them to truly see why they're not achieving their goals. Because let's be honest, any monkey could go to the gym and lift the barbell. You know, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to teach someone a sustainable path so that even after they're done working here with us, they're still in the healthiest version that they can be. And it gives you no more satisfaction to see a client at a club or a bar or anywhere that I haven't worked with 6 or 7 months, and they're even better shape than when I left them, because now I know they have adopted exactly my teachings, and I'm that gives me the euphoria of life, you know. But it is, what we teach here is sustainability, not here's a 30-day crash diet, here's a 60-day, you know, training program. As soon as you start putting numbers, you're putting, again, your fitness and your health into another label. And again, that's a huge issue. You know, these labels, you know, especially in social media, be your best self in 30 days. Look, dude, you could be your best self in 16 minutes if you apply to it. You know, stop putting numbers into something that you feel needs to be applied to. And I always encourage people, you know, whether they want to sign up or not, the fact that they're sitting right there in front of me and they're listening to a potential solution to their problems, that's already the first step.
I
Yeah.
gotta say, man, everything you've said, tons of value, knowledge, gems. What else can I say? You know, it obviously shows and speaks for itself from you, you know, having seen from where you started to where you are now. And clearly, you know, you have a system that's bringing you results. It's bringing your coaches results. It's bringing your clients results. And I think we all can all agree at the end of the day, you know, when you have a system in place, I mean, you have that pathway that you can literally take every single day and apply it into all these other areas. That's when you're going to start seeing, you know, these results come out of it. And like something you said I really loved, it's about not you motivating individuals, but it's about the fact you're creating discipline. Because at the end of the day, great motivation, all this stuff, you can get motivated out of anything, but if you don't take action, then you ain't going to get shit, you know. And that's you know, at the end of the day, that's facts, true straight up facts. Brother, man, we're approaching that 1 hour marker, and dude, this has
Time
been
flies.
amazing. Yeah, time
Time
flies.
flies.
I definitely want to leave the floor open to Josh to see if he has any last minute questions. I know I have one or two, but first of all, I just want to say appreciate you, man, and I want to give you the
Thank you.
floor. Yeah, of course, I want to give you the floor to let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you
Maybe
beat me
other
to the punch.
there we go. Where they can find you, any links that you want to send them to, maybe some new projects that you got going on. Share all that information right now.
AlexCarneiro.com. That's just a website. They can always find me there. And my Instagram is AlexCarneiro_. I mean, pretty simple to find me.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Awesome. I want to just say one more time, thank you so much for, you know, coming on the podcast, sharing your story, giving a little bit of insight into, you know, what makes you tick, how you became successful, and how you're helping, you know, the trainers inside of your gym and your clientele really, you know, take the next steps that they need to do to succeed. It's always great to see other, high achieving trainers, doing such great things, because we need more people like you in the field, uplifting others, really pushing the field as a whole forward, right? I think we need to be setting a higher standard for the new trainers and the new coaches coming in on what level of expectation there really needs to be in the health and wellness field, in particular strength training, right? And all the coaching aspects that go along with that. So thank you, man, for, one, being who you are, and two, coming on the podcast and sharing all of that with us.
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, the only message I always leave for personal trainers or anyone who's, trying to get into this industry is also to remember, like, personal training isn't you liking working out.
Fair.
It's about you helping other people enjoy that process. That's the number one mistake I see, like, oh, I like to, how should it be? They think that the path to become a successful personal trainer is to step on stage and to be a famous Instagram, influencer, or this or that, or have a perfect shredded six pack. And I'm
Quite
like,
the
no,
opposite.
trust me. Yeah, you have to be willing to want to help others, not yourself. And that's a problem I see, is people are becoming so narcissistic that they think that because they have a chiseled body that there should be clients rounding out the business for them. And it's not like that. It's truly, how can I solve your needs? Not, I got a lot of followers and likes, you should be training with me.
Right.
And that's just unfortunately how I see some of these things these days. And again, the other number one thing I can say is just define what it means to live your life. Because if you're living life based on what you think you think your life should be, then you're going to be in trouble. You're always going to be hitting a path of depression and sadness. Yep. So define your standards, define your own life rules, define what it is. And once you find that definition, it'll be a much easier path. And I'm not saying, you're going to find the solution to what I just said in overnight. It takes time to develop that path. But if you're at least following, and you have intention of working on it, it'll happen one day.
Yeah. No, amen, man. And you literally stole the question out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, what's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today?
You're on top of it.
So you beat me to the punch. That's why I beat Josh to the punch. He's usually the one that asked, what do you want to share with all the users today? So, dude, it was a pleasure to have you on here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we got to make it out to Denver when all this COVID stuff's over. We'll
Please.
come out for sure. I love it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you again, man. We appreciate it.
No, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alex.